The line hasn't moved in 4 minutes. You can feel it. The woman in front of you is still digging through her tote for a boarding pass she swore was right on top. Somebody 3 spots ahead just got pulled aside because their carry-on lit up the scanner. Your gate closes in 38 minutes. And the officer at the podium keeps repeating the same sentence to every traveler. That walks up like a tape on a loop. This is TSA in 2026, and if it feels slower than you remember, it's not your imagination. Quick note before we go further. TSA procedures vary by airport, equipment differs from terminal to terminal, and rules change more often than most travelers realize. Always check the latest official guidance from TSA and your airline before you fly. What we're walking through here is the general picture, the real reasons so many travelers are getting stuck in lines this year, based on what TSA has reported and what industry data suggests. Use it as a map, not a manual. Here's the big picture problem. Air travel volume in 2026 has climbed back past the old pre-pandemic peaks at many large hubs, and in some cases it's pushed even higher. More people are flying domestically. More people are flying internationally. Budget airlines have brought in a wave of first-time and infrequent flyers who haven't been through a checkpoint in years, or ever. And the agency screening all of them is still working through a staffing gap that hasn't fully closed since the early 2020s. TSA has reported ongoing recruitment and retention pressure in major metro airports. And depending on the airport, lanes that should be open at peak hours sometimes aren't, simply because there aren't enough trained officers to run them. Layer on top of that a technology rollout that's still in motion. You may have heard about the new CT scanners, the 3-dimensional baggage imagers, that let you keep electronics and even liquids inside your bag. They're real. They work. They're rolling out across the country. But here's the catch most travelers don't know. They're not everywhere yet. In some airports, every standard lane has one. In others, only the pre-check lanes have them. In others, a single terminal might have 1 new lane and 3 old lanes running side by side. And the rules at each lane are different. Pull your laptop out here. Leave it in there. Take the liquids out at this scanner. Don't bother at that one. The signage doesn't always match the lane you're standing in. Even savvy travelers get tripped up because the airport they flew out of last month works differently from the airport they're standing in this morning. The result is hesitation. And hesitation, multiplied by hundreds of people an hour, is exactly what slows a checkpoint to a crawl. Then there's the traveler behavior multiplier. This one's quiet, but it's huge. The line doesn't move at the pace of the fastest person. It moves at the pace of the slowest. And in 2026, with so many infrequent flyers in the mix, the slow ones are slower than ever. Someone reaches the bin table and only then starts unloading their pockets. Keys, wallet, phone, a handful of receipts, a pack of gum. Each item placed deliberately, one at a time. Behind them, a family of 4 is trying to figure out which kid keeps their shoes on and which one doesn't. 2 spots back, a man is still on his phone, half listening to the officer asking him to step forward. Up at the scanner, a woman forgot about the water bottle in her side pocket, and now everything has to come back out for a manual check. None of these people are doing anything wrong on purpose. They just don't know the rhythm. Frequent travelers know to dump their pockets into their bag before they even reach the line. They know whether their belt has a metal buckle. They know if their shoes need to come off in the lane they're in. They know which lanes have the new scanners and which don't, because they checked the airport's website that morning or noticed the signage. And most of all, they know to be ready. Boarding pass out, ID in hand, bag organized in a way that one quick pass through the scanner doesn't trigger a secondary screening. Compare that to the occasional traveler who shows up at the podium still digging for their license, then has to set the bag down on the floor to find it, then realizes the boarding pass on their phone has timed out and they need to log back into the airline app. Then the app wants a verification code. Then they need to step out of line. That one person can cost the line behind them 4 or 5 minutes. And there are usually several of them in every wave. This is the cascade effect that frequent flyers talk about, and casual flyers never notice. One slow traveler doesn't just slow themselves, They slow everyone behind them because the officer can only process people as fast as they're ready to be processed. Now let's talk about the hidden bottleneck nobody warned you about. Real ID. As a general rule, the federal Real ID requirement is now actively enforced at TSA checkpoints for domestic flights, and that has created a whole new category of delay. Travelers showing up with a standard driver's license that doesn't meet Real ID standards are getting flagged, pulled aside, and walked through an alternate verification process. Some are turned away. Most are allowed through with extra screening, but the process takes time, both for them and for everyone in line behind them. In many airports, you'll now see an officer at the front of the line specifically checking IDs before you even reach the document station, just to catch the non-compliant ones early. That's a whole new layer of checkpoint flow that didn't exist a few years ago. And here's where it gets messier. ID rules don't feel consistent from state to state. Some states issue Real ID compliant licenses by default. Others require you to request the upgrade. Some accept enhanced driver's licenses that work for land border.